Yo, welcome back, guys. Or if you're new to the channel, welcome. We got a little bit of track prep to do on the 86. A lot of it's just more for my personal taste, engine bay cosmetics, adding a little bit of fireproof sleeving to the brake lines, bleeding the brakes and the clutch system. A little bit of change going on the engine bay. I'm a little tired of these Piper Cross filters, so we're going to be replacing that with a Jubiride funnel screens and then Technotoy Splash Guard, just so we can actually expose the ITBs, because let's face it, ITBs are really cool. Then just general upkeep, getting it ready for the track. An oil change, which I think this will be the third oil change on this motor since we rebuilt it. So it has like 1,600 miles, so we got that going. What else do we got? We got our header back from getting Cerakoted, if that's a phrase, I guess, Cerakoted. Anyway, burnt bronze, but the only reason we got that done was because, hey, we cracked the header on runner 2 and 3, which we had to get this car towed for the first time. And then to put insult to injury, we also broke our test pipe from Technotoy, which, yeah, we had Bluetooth test pipe. So we actually ended up getting something really, really nice from Breeze Fabrication. This thing is gorgeous. It's almost as good as the Fujitsu exhaust, but the welds on this are out of control. And also we have a bellow in here, so it allows the exhaust to actually flex, which is something we didn't have before, and we learned the hard way. So I'm hoping we don't crack anything on the header anymore. We also have some little goodies that we're adding. So we put some titanium hardware for the exhaust side, and then of course John at JSP always makes cool ass shit. So we have an air intake temperature sensor holder, and unfortunately this is 3/8, so we have an adapter to reduce it to our 1/8 NPT air temperature. And I think that's about it. Probably just cutting up this hose right here for the oil catch can, and we should be ready for the track. So tune in. filter is clean. Okay. So we got rid of the Piper Cross filter. Nothing wrong with it. It's just with the carving brace, the electric water pump, and then the JSP oil catch can coolant reservoir. It's just a pain in the ass to kind of maneuver it. And then it started marking the ITBs, which kind of got on my nerves. So what I opted with was a Jubiride ITB screen, and then we have the Technotoy Splash Guard on top of the T3 aero panel. So essentially, if I were to go off on dirt, the T3 aero panel would get most of the dirt from rising up. If anything got a little brave, it would still have to get past the splash guard and then loop into the screen. So I like my odds. Plus, they're ITBs. Like when you tell somebody there's ITBs and then they see a screen filter, they're like, what the fuck? You know? You want to see the trumpets. That's my trumpet.
Pardon me, man.
Alright, Caleb, take us through what we did over there in that corner.
Alright, so we spent a considerable amount of time fireproofing the firewall.
Okay.
We've added a lot of reflective heat tape, I think of what it is, or a heat sheet. We ordered this from Jeg, and one thing that we learned that Gabe was able to find out when we were researching the use of reflective tape is that you want to buy some that has a thicker fiberglass matting in it. So I'll show you in a little bit, but this fiberglass matting that we have is a lot thicker, more durable. It's able to compound the heat a little bit more away from the interior. So we just kind of templated a lot of different things out, and we kind of cut around the steering column. So this is the original steering column boot. We just wanted to keep heat away from the interior on this side because we have the header going this way. So we put a little bit over the starter. We protected the strut tower. We went all the way down to the bottom of the frame rail. A little bit around the brake booster eliminator. And yeah, we also sheet the brake lines. So everything's very heat proof for what we're gonna do because this header is known to get really, really hot. We've melted a lot of things on this car with that header specifically. So like the oil line, we've melted the starter wire, I'm pretty sure. The brake line rubber was actually kind of melted already, so that's why we put this extra sheathing over it. So this should really make sure that we are safe.
That's right. You know it looks good. You feel that you know that it looks good. You sense it. You can feel it. You can feel it in your palms. I mean, it's kind of overkill with the gasket, but just in case, you know? Because we've had our fair shares of fucking bullshit. All right, so we're finishing up the track prep. We pretty much got the ITBs, the funnel screens, the splash guard on. We drained the oil. There was only like 1,600 miles on the rebuild oil, and I've probably changed it out twice already. One thing I've had in storage for a little bit is this JSP magnetic oil drain plug. Put one on my brother's ISF, and of course I'm going to put it on his 86. So yeah, we're going to throw that on. You know, bling factor. And then we need to go get an oil filter for the car. I ran out. Drop it on the ground and then take it around the block. Just make sure everything's good and ready to rock. Okay, so track prep is pretty much done on the 86. So we did an oil change. We got a little bougie and put a JSP oil drain plug that had been sitting in my toolbox for a while. We went away from the Piper Cross filters. Nothing against the Piper Cross filters. It's just, for me, it was a pain in the ass to having to take it off and then manipulating it. So the filter eventually got squished between the carbine tri-point and also the ITBs themselves, the trumpets, and then the electric water pump that we have. So I opted for the T3 Splash Guard, so the little bracket that keeps dirt from coming up. And then we got the Jubiride, I believe that's how you say it, screen filters. We got them from Battle Garage. And then we just cleaned up the ITBs. What else did we do? We finally got our header back. So we broke the welds on the flange against the head. So runner 2 and 3 broke. So we got that welded up. Then we sent the header to get Cerakoted, if that's a word, I guess it's a verb. So it's supposed to help with heat. Granted, this isn't a turbo car, so we shouldn't be experiencing that much heat. What else did we do? We put some heat protective mat on a lot of the firewall. Then we also put heat sheathing on the brake lines. I noticed some of the, I guess, the vinyl on one of the lines kind of melted with the heat of the header. So we took care of that. Yeah, I think that's mostly all we did for the car. Oil filter, fresh oil. What's up?
Titanium studs.
Oh, that's right. We also did titanium exhaust studs. I forgot about them because you wouldn't really notice it. Hell, I can't remember that I did it. So we did that as well. Oh, and then the big piece is we also blew out our Technotoy test pipe. So we ended up getting a Breeze Fabrication test pipe with a bellow in it so we can have some flex in the exhaust. Hopefully that keeps us from cracking the damn header. And looking up, no, I think that's all we have. Oh, right. Something that I forgot about, but it's also in the engine bay. We got the intake air temperature bracket from JSP. Unfortunately, that one's meant for a 3/8, so we just use a reducer, and then we put our 1/8 NPT air intake temperature sensor in there. I mean, it doesn't do anything, but now it's not dangling everywhere, and it's right in front of the ITB. So, granted, the temperature will kind of be exact, quote unquote. But that's pretty much it. So now it's a matter of just first start. No problem.